whole meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 28th. It's 3:35, and we are ready to call our meeting to order and to consider approval of the meeting minutes from February 26, 2025, and March 26, 2025.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the minutes be approved for those two meetings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the meetings are approved. Zoning cases, our first case is ZAC 2025-00007 for 1201 16th Street North. Who's going to present?
All right, good afternoon. For the record, Christian Togmas. I serve as one of the planners here for the city of Birmingham. So this is the Heart of the Farm rezoning, which is in the Fountain Heights neighborhood. The owner is Fountain Heights Cooperative LLC, and the applicant is Miss Villanueva. So they're requesting to rezone the property from CR4A, which is our contingency medium density residential district, to MUL, which is our mixed use low district, in order to allow for the construction of a new office that includes a market and an accessory kitchen. The subject property is approximately 0.16 acres and is located at 1201 16th Street North, which is right at the intersection of 16th Street North and 12th Avenue, and it's also just west of Oak Hill Cemetery. The surrounding zoning is all CR4A to the north, east, and west. And to the south is R3, which is our single-family district. So a little bit about the Heart of the Farm. It's a neighborhood market and community kitchen, which is designed to serve the needs of the residents by helping small-scale producers and aspiring food entrepreneurs to grow, prepare, and sell their products. The market will feature locally grown produce and will participate in EBT and SNAP. This space will also be a community gathering space and an educational space where residents can learn about gardening, soil care, etc. Educational programs will be offered to all. The upstairs will have both residential and office space for staff. The hours of operation will be Tuesday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and there will be approximately 3 employees for the neighborhood market and 7 for the supporting farm. Now, the adopted long-range land use plan identifies the property as residential medium, and the applicant was granted a variance in March of 2024 to allow an accessory structure in the front yard. And I'm going to go through the staff comments. So for zoning, if approved, the applicant must resurvey the property through the subdivision committee process to combine 2 lots into one to include the accessory building for the proposed use. And any plantings in the right-of-way, now or in the future, will require a right-of-way use agreement. Now, from landscape, it meets all the requirements. However, any planting must be removed from the right-of-way or moved onto the subject property. Stormwater, all permits and ordinances shall apply for any new construction. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area, and there were no comments from Birmingham Department of Transportation. Now, the applicant went before the Fountain Heights Neighborhood Association on May 12th, and they voted to support the rezoning request, 8 votes to support, 0 to not support. Now, the Zoning Advisory Committee met on May 20th, 2025 to review the proposed rezoning, and they voted 5 votes to approve, 0 to deny. And that's the end of the staff report.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. If you would just tell us a little bit about what you're doing besides what we just heard.
Sure. My name's Maria Dominique Villanueva, and I am one of the co-founders of Fountain Heights Farms in Birmingham, Alabama, in beautiful Fountain Heights. We have an urban farm system right now with 11 spaces growing food in our neighborhood. And we would like to build what will be the first neighborhood market that our neighborhood has had access to in almost 70 years. In addition to a neighborhood market space where our elders can walk to and people who have limited access to transportation can access healthy and affordable foods. We also want to use the space to serve micro businesses that are related to our farms. So we have a neighbor who uses the peppers on our farm to make pepper sauce, but she is canning right now and bottling in her home kitchen, which limits her access to other markets. And with access to our community kitchen, she would be able to bottle in an approved facility that would allow her access to places like Piggly Wiggly and other small markets. It is part of a vision that our neighborhood has had for a very long time. We've been fundraising and dreaming about this space since 2021. The first $30,000 that we raised for this building came in 5s and 10s and 20s from our community members. So it means a lot to have this space, and we're excited that, hopefully we're moving forward. I will say that during this process, I've learned more than I ever thought that I would about city planning and zoning. And I really appreciate the learning and the immersion, but it has been an arduous process. And we're looking forward to the point where we can, have that groundbreaking and actual build.
Can you tell us a little bit about the building, how it's going to be arranged? Because I see the drawings here, but, I always like to see a rendering of what we're going to get in the end, and there's not one. So kind of describe for us what you're building.
Yeah, so it's a 2-story building. The footprint is under 1,000 square feet. So it's like 950 something on the bottom floor and just a slightly smaller on the upper floor. And I'm sorry, I thought that y'all would get a copy of the renderings that were provided.
Well, there's drawings here, but
we do have those available. We have worked with the architectural firm CCR and Roman Gary at CCR to design the building, and it is meant to serve in multiple capacities, so that we can use it not only for the market but as a teaching space and a learning space.
And you're going to live upstairs, or?
We would have a living space upstairs, a residential space, and it's really for us to make sure that the folks who work for us have access to affordable housing. Our goal is to create a whole cadre of urban farmers for our area to continue this work. I'm not there yet, but I don't see myself farming for, I got maybe 10 more years. And then I'd like to share this with someone else. And so having an affordable living space in the neighborhood where they work is really important. Until then, we'll be housing our apprentices there. We have 2 apprentices that are supported by the Braiding Seeds Fellowship and the National Black Food and Justice Alliance. I will say that we have project funding from the Alliance. We also have received support from Rev Birmingham, from Urban Impact, from national organizations like the Equitable Food Development Organization and others. So this is really, a dream of the neighborhood, but the work of a lot of hands.
Okay, do members of the committee have questions you'd like to ask?
Can you tell us briefly the other locations around the neighborhood where the farm activities are taking place?
Sure. We have 11 sites, and they're all within a 2-mile kind of walking distance. And so we have the main space where this building will be, we call it the heart of the farm because that's kind of our central hub. But we have a location across from Tuggle Elementary School, where last year we grew pumpkins for the kids as a pumpkin patch and flowers so that, when they walked to school every day, it was beautiful. We have a space along 12th on that same street where we have cleaned up and cleared from the dumping that was happening there. And now it is in full production. We have another space that's around the corner on the next block over, so we're on 16th. This is on 15th, that is in full tomato production. So yeah, a lot of different sites around the neighborhood.
So for staff, the proposed land use for the area, you said was mixed use medium? Residential medium, okay. There's a convenience store across the street, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's been there probably several decades.
Yeah, when you were our full, council, serving as a full council, I think you can probably recall the many, many, many issues that were brought up about Omar's discount. And, we continue to have those issues. It continues to be a place of violence. And we really want to be a foil to that in a space where there's regular shootings, where, they're selling a loaf of bread for $8 or expired milk. The goal is for us to really be creating the opposite of that and something really wholesome and community-oriented.
That's all I got.
Counselor Smitherman, anything? Yeah. Okay, so how far, like I drove over there the other day to go to the Salvation Army. How far is this site from the cemetery? Is it like half a block?
Yeah, so it's one full block from the cemetery. I would say that a better kind of orientation is if you orient yourself at 16th Street Baptist Church and you go right up to the 16th Street. And you go under City Walk and the freeway and continue up that street. And we're literally 8 blocks from 16th Street Baptist Church up the hill. No
Yeah, and
turns.
undoubtedly, that was a more scenic route than the one I took, but I came on the interstate.
Okay,
so,
yeah, yeah.
Kinda.
So, yeah, off the interstate, it's kind of coming in the
But I
reverse.
passed that grocery store that's such a icon in the neighborhood. And so I think I know exactly where you are, but I didn't get to go by there today. So there being no other questions, do I hear a motion?
Motion to recommend to the full council for approval.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. I didn't ask if there was anybody in the audience who wanted to make comments or ask questions, but I think I know everybody in the audience, and I don't see anybody rushing up here. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that item passes. We'll send it to the full council, and all 9 of us will make a decision.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. It sounds interesting. Okay, our next case is ZAC 2025-00012.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kim Sproul. I serve as the city zoning administrator, and hopefully you will like this item. We are updating our definitions in the city zoning ordinance. I know there's one in particular, that Counselor Abbott has asked us to look at, and we'll get to that one in just a second. But I just wanted to let you know, most of the updates in red, with the exception of public building, are new to the zoning ordinance. These are definitions that are in the city's subdivision regulations, but were never carried over into the zoning ordinance. And so we felt that we should have the same definitions and the same terms defined in both the subdivision regulations as well as the ordinance. I will call your attention to the definition of a lot. We did add, the previous definition said that a lot has its principal frontage on a public street. And we do have a private road subdivision as one of our options for developers. And so we included a public or private road for the definition of a lot, so that it would include those private road subdivisions that we're starting to see a little bit more from developers. That just means that they build the infrastructure themselves and they do not dedicate the road to the city for upkeep and maintenance. It's handled by the homeowners through their HOA. And then the other definition that we have changed is for public building. And the previous definition was any building that is accessible to the public and its operation is funded from public sources. And that was very broad and vague, so what we're proposing is to change that to a building or buildings owned or operated by the local, state, or federal government. They are typically open to the public and provide a service to the public. Examples include schools, libraries, government offices, courthouses, post offices, fire stations, police stations, and community centers. If you have any suggestions to that definition, I know you've been working on that, Counselor Abbott, but we would be open, or if you want to use this one, we kind of combine several definitions together to get to that one.
As long as we're not allowing any more drug rehab in people's residential neighborhoods, I think it's probably
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to be fine, but
As the zoning administrator, I would not say that would be an approved use under the public definition building.
yes, well, it used to be. But it's not anymore after we approve this. So does anybody have questions about any of the part in red is what you've added?
Yes, ma'am, the red is all new, and then we struck through alley and public building, and those, alley was taken from the subdivision regulation so that they match, and then public building we just amended, but everything else is new. They're just taken from the subdivision regulations. And all of these terms are used in the city zoning ordinance.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair, I just have one question. I saw in the, beginning note that public hearing, no, sorry, it said public building, never mind. I thought you said, never mind, I'm good. I'm happy to see these are updated. I'm sure Counselor Abbott is as well.
What,
That the definitions are updated.
oh yes, definitions definitely need to be updated. Okay, so do we have a definition of a garage?
So there's the previous definition that we've used in the past for a public garage, and that actually included multiple uses under that, but we've since broken them out, and we have automobile service, and there's also there's light truck and heavy truck repair that fall under, I think, where you actually do work on vehicles. And then for a gas station or convenience store, we have those definitions. Those were separated in 2015 when we did the ordinance update.
Yeah, Well, I know that somehow y'all had defined a garage or automotive repair as a car wash. And that's how we ended up with that beauty that's being built at the foot of Vulcan. So I wanted to make sure that in the future, we refine our definitions enough to where an automated car wash is not a garage or an automotive service center.
Yes, ma'am, and we do have separate definitions now for an automated car wash, and for a hand car wash. And those have been updated in the permitted uses table.
Okay, good. Okay, so are y'all comfortable with moving ahead, or you have any other questions or comments? You know, words mean something, and we have to get this right. But I'm happier with public buildings now. So do I hear a motion?
I move, for recommendation to the full council.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry. Now, the next item is partial release of settlement agreement with lots of E's in it. Serodian permit, PC.
Good afternoon. David Silverstein with Representative Arlington Redevelopment. I think there was some confusion about Serodian Permit being the applicant, but Serodi was a party to the settlement agreement that was entered into back in 1991, which outlined a dispute between the city and Serodi at the time regarding the city's rezoning the property that would prohibit Serodi at the time from expanding its office footprint and providing additional parking for that office building. Arlington Redevelopment acquired some property located on 22nd Street across from the office building that we just redeveloped on 2222 Arlington. And so our request today is to ask for a partial release from the settlement agreement as it relates to certain parcels that are governed by the settlement agreement. We're not asking for a full release of these parcels. I've worked closely with Kim and her staff, as well as Julie and Nicole at the legal department, to draft this partial release of settlement agreement. So this is the first step in getting this through to the council and ultimately, hopefully, getting the mayor's signature. Essentially, the settlement agreement, in our opinion, is moot in the sense that Serodi no longer owns the property there. We have no desire to expand any office footprint. We simply want to be governed by the zoning classification that currently exists on the property, and then the framework plan that the city's been working on, where there'd be I believe the designation right now is mixed-use medium.
Okay. Has that passed the council, mixed-use medium?
The framework plan has not gone
Yeah,
through
I
yet.
didn't think that it had gone through yet, but, okay. So. And what is this going to free you from?
So the properties, we had it replatted, which is the site of our proposed condominium development. A portion of the site is subject to a height restriction that's governed by the settlement agreement. A sliver of that site is a triangle. I'm not sure if you all have a survey as part of your documents in front of you, but the height restriction proposes a negative impact on the construction of the building due to the height limitations that are in place by the settlement agreement. Again, so we were just asked that be governed by the zoning ordinance as it exists. Yeah, so the sliver is between the property owned by AlDOT and Red Mountain Expressway. And then the other side that's subject to it is an existing parking deck, which is a legal non-conforming use.
Okay. We don't have any drawings, so does anyone have any questions? I actually thought that this had already been done. It seems like we've talked about it so many times at
We
so
have,
many
and I know
different
we've
places.
had the
that-
opportunity to sit with each of you to talk about it, so glad to finally be before you at this step.
Okay, and the height limitation that you're trying to get away from is what, 60, was it 60?
65 feet.
65. And the new height in mixed-use medium is,
Kim would have to confirm, I believe it's 65, but it also comes with its own set of bonus heights based on setbacks. But we're not able to utilize those bonus heights on certain parcels because of the setback requirements under the ordinance.
okay. Well, if there are no questions,
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the partial release of the settlement agreement and recommend to the full council for approval.
Second.
it has been moved and properly seconded. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak? Don't see anyone, so all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you all very
So-
much.
Thank you. We will send it to the full council.
I'd like to have one moment, please.
Sure.
I'm David Silverstein, and I just want to say to you, Valerie, I've had the pleasure of working with you for more years than I probably want to acknowledge. And I know that your tenure on this council is coming to an end in a few months, but personally, I want to thank you for your service. You've helped us on summit projects, the long ordeal with Pizitz, and when we did the Crescent, working with the Highland Park neighborhood. It's just been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best in your new challenges. I know you will stay busy doing something, but just personally, thank you for your service to the city and wish you all the best.
Well, thank you. You're very kind, and I'm sure my successor will be just fine to work with.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is item 5, appointments to the Design Review Committee and the Zoning Board of Adjustment. We have 2 applicants for design, well, one for design review and one for Zoning Board of Adjustment. The Design Review Committee, Vernetta Woodbury has applied for that position, and she's the only one that applied for that position, but she's highly qualified. And also on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, we have Darrell Varner, and he also was the only one that applied for that particular position, and so he also was highly qualified. So our recommendation is to appoint them, and then we have another vacancy that is for an at-large member on the Design Review Committee, and we'll need to do interviews for those. Unless, y'all look at the resumes and make an instant decision, so. Any questions or comments or?
I think these look like great candidates. I actually know Mr. Varner as a resident of the College Hills neighborhood. I used to represent that neighborhood in District 5, and he's very engaged, very concerned about the community. So, I think he's a good selection. And Miss Woodbury's credentials look like top caliber to me, so I'll make a motion that we approve or recommend these appointments to the respective committees to the full council.
I agree in second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we will send these to the full council, and soon those boards will be beefed up a little bit, and we'll get that last person maybe at the next meeting, and then we'll be done for a little while, till somebody resigns. Okay, under new. That's for the ones that we have two people. Okay. So we'll be contacting the members of the committee about a date to interview the gentlemen who have applied for the at-large committee position. And I think that's all. So so we'll call your offices or text you or email you or whatever your preference is. The only thing about texting is your staff won't be able to read it for you. And now we're to item 7, which is always one of my favorites.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and we are